All right, we're off and running again for horse racing coverage as we take a look at Tampa Downs on our
Tampa
road
Bay
to
Downs.
the Kentucky Derby. Did you say something there, John?
Tampa Bay.
Oh, it's not. Oh, it's Tampa Bay Downs. Excuse me.
Correct.
All right. Is there a Tampa Downs, or is that like
No.
something that I need to know because people in Tampa don't like it when somebody says Tampa without the Bay?
Right.
Okay, I understand. How's it going, guys? How's it going, Chad? Your last time you and I spoke was late night, last Thursday night. You were still in the U.S. Now you are back in Dubai.
Yes. Yes. Many hours of travel.
Many miles.
And
Are you like a platinum traveler yet, Chad?
I don't think so. I don't apply
How
for
could you not be
that.
with all the miles you do? Are you
I don't know how
kidding
to. I don't know how to. I don't know how to.
yeah, I
apply
can't
for
hear
it.
you, Chad.
You would have had like 3 free trips already, Chad. He
Yeah,
lost.
we're gonna have this problem, everybody, but keep in mind that's just because Chad's in Dubai. So we're trying to do the best that we can. What we're gonna try and do, of course, is take a look at what we did last week. But once again, Chad, you okay over there?
Yeah, everything's good. I'll tell you a great story on traveling. There was a guy one time, Hot Scott Racing, and his credit card was such a high limit. He bought a horse
Oh, fuck.
at a racehorse sale,
Yeah.
and then he paid for it on credit card, and then flew first class to watch his horse
No
run
good.
with the miles he got for buying the
Can't
horse.
hear it.
I hear him fine. Maybe you're the only one that can't hear him. Hopefully the listeners can hear him.
Yeah, no. If I can't hear him, they can't.
Why does
How
that
come
keep
I
happening?
can't?
I don't know. Now we can hear you okay. Go ahead, Chad. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I don't know if have you hung up and called back yet?
Yes, twice.
Oh, all right. Well, that's not working. All right. So go ahead with that story again, Chad.
He just disappeared. I'll tell the story. He had somebody that was so rich they bought a horse on a credit card for a lot of money. He then bought a first class ticket to fly around the world to watch the horse run on the same credit card.
And when did this happen?
I'm sure a few years back.
Oh, and why did this story come up today?
He was telling me about traveling because I said that he should be a platinum card holder by
Oh,
now with all
okay.
the miles he has. Apparently, he doesn't even ask for them. He's really crazy. But that's besides the point.
Last week,
anybody hear me?
we went over 5. I believe there were 5. Yep, 5 Grade 3 races.
I didn't give selections for 5 races. I sent you selections for a few races. I knew I had some winners.
Yes,
Exactas,
John, you
anyway.
hit the exacta in the Oakland Park race, the Southwest
Oh,
Southwestern
that was a
Stakes.
good exacta. That exacta was like 120
No,
bucks. Or something.
$91.
All right, nothing wrong with
Big
that.
time exacta. And
I like the fact that the Brian Lynch horse that we gave out was 15 to 1 morning line and went up at 72.
yeah, I know, right? It's
What'd he pay?
which one was that? Was that the Aqueduct race?
No, it had to be a Florida race.
Oh, was that the one that you picked the horse? Oh, yeah, that horse finished in second. That's the one you're talking about, Chad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the number 1 horse that dropped all the way to 7-2, I believe.
That's when he went off of 15 to 1 morning line?
Crazy.
Chad, you have some influence on this show.
Crazy.
Rockface must be firing away.
We did get what did we get? 8 to 1 or 10 to 1 on that horse in Aqueduct.
Yeah, the Withers. Chad hit the winner in the Withers, which was the 8 horse Uncle Heavy.
Wow, great pick.
Uncle Heavy was a 10 to 1 shot in the morning line. So while we can hear you, Chad, which 3-year-old horse were you most impressed with last week?
Nisos, the horse in California, the horse that can't run in the Derby.
Wait, Chad, what?
The horse that can't run in the Derby, the
Now
baffler.
wait a second, you're talking over each other. Chad, what'd you say?
Nisos, but he can't run on
He
the
said
Derby.
Nisos.
Okay, Nisos. And no updates, like you said. So as of right now, he can't run in the Derby.
No, he's not running in the Derby. He's not running in the. He's
No, he
out of the
can't run,
Derby.
period.
All the baffler
He's
horses are
officially
out.
eliminated.
All right.
They had to be transferred by the 29th and none of them transferred. So they all stayed with Baffert on principle. And Churchill's a bunch of idiots because they're doing nothing but hurting the game by not letting the horse run.
Yeah,
but that's a different story.
Yeah, we had a few comments on that from this past week. Matter of fact, as far as our comments, we had some good ones and also some questions. But let's see. Richard Buckler, what a great video post. He talked about he liked the hard-hitting analysis of lots of races, also going in depth a lot of horses. And I had to tell Richard, break the news to him, that that's because there were 5 3-year-old races, and that's not going to happen very often.
Every week.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah, very often.
All right. Yeah.
Richard also said, "I'm going to bet these horses in what we call a lucky 15." This is before the races last week, in a lucky 15 exotic bet in Europe, where you can bet several horses at different tracks and a multiple rolling on one winner, and you guarantee money back. And one of the horses in there was Uncle Heavy, so I guess he made out there. He also had Hammerstein, Saratoga Secret, and Society Man. Boom, Uncle Heavy, says Richard Buckler. Congrats to Chad for his winner, 19 oysters. So, congratulations, Chad, on 19 oysters.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a good.
That was a great training job, by the way. The horse was off a long layoff. He came back and he won easy. So, nice job, Chad.
Yeah, and thankfully, we're pointing now for the Breeders' Cup Classic, so looking forward to it.
Wow.
Oh, I thought you were going to Dubai. Okay, good.
Rockface, congrats to John on his winner of the Kitten Joy. John and Chad had the exacta there between their selections. Rockface also made a comment, "I just get a feeling that we are not long away from an invader shipper winning the Derby. The Saudis are investing a ton of cash with buying dirt bred types. It's not just the Japanese now." Do you agree with that, Chad?
Yeah, they outbid me on a horse that I really liked at the 2-year-old sale in April at Keeneland for $500,000. A horse that was a commissioner that won first time out that is going to run in the Saudi Derby. So looking forward to watching him run against.
What's his name?
I don't remember. I got to look it up.
Right.
Let me look.
Next
he runs against Bookham Dano and Bentornato for Jose D'Angelo in Saudi Arabia. So it should be a good race.
John Rodinus, if only Parchment Party weren't a June foal.
It wouldn't help he's still on the farm. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay.
You have to run.
Mr. Guitar 0610. That's why I like listening to Chad Summers. He can spot a horse who has a chance of winning a race. Great handicapping, guys. Keep it up.
You know, it's surprising. We have a lot of listeners from out of the country. That's surprising. You would think, that's great. You have Rockford. You got a lot of really good listeners.
And then the last one, Siggy Mendoza. Hi, Chad. After 2 months of interrupted workouts, Amor Fati is making her debut on Sunday at Gulfstream Park. What are your hopes with the filly? Is the Kentucky Oaks a goal or maybe too late?
Look, I mean, at this stage in the game now, things have changed so much. Before you needed to have
2-year-old races.
You needed to have back form, and you needed to have 7-8 starts before the Derby, and you'd run a week before the Derby. Now you can run 2 or 3 times and still make the Derby. So everything remains in play as a possibility. But obviously, first things first, and you watch the race on Sunday. So cautiously optimistic. It's 6 furlong race to get her started. She'll be better going further, but let's see what happens.
All right, we're going to get into our racing now this week at Tampa Bay Downs. We were going to decide between races 7 and 8, and we decided on 8. And we're also, of course, going to do the Sam F. Davis. That's the 3-year-old race.
Commissioner Dan, by the way, is the name of the horse in Saudi Arabia. Commissioner Dan.
Not Bookham Dano. Commissioner.
No, but they used to have that thing. Exactly. I don't know if you believe it or not. When they said horses that have similar names, one of them always wins.
Oh, yeah.
The wife doesn't know. The wife knows everything when they're in the same race.
My mother-in-law and the other mother-in-law.
Yeah.
By the way, John, do you have a pick in the 7th race yet?
I do. I kind of like the one, but no big deal. She's only 3-1. I liked one with 3, 4, 5. There you go. We threw it in.
And I'll throw in my pick in there as well. I'm going to go with the 9-2 shot, Lady Rattler for Jose Ortiz.
You're going with the 4.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
I use her. One with 3, 4, 5. You like the 4.
There you go. Now it's race 7. That's your bonus pick. Now let's get into race 8 at Tampa as we break down the Tampa Downs 6-furlong race, the Pelican Stakes, purse 100,000, 4-year-olds and up. This should go off about 4:15 on Saturday. And you have 2 horses that as far as the sheets, they look like they stick out the most. And of course, the one that really sticks out is Nakatomi, John. I mean, you look at the sheets; it's just incredible compared to the rest of the horses in this field. The last 2 races are a 6 and a 4, and it almost seems like it's like this horse is too good compared to the rest of the horses in this field. Would that be the case? At 9 to 5, it almost seems like a bargain.
Well, the horse was last seen in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Chad doesn't like him. I think he can't lose personally. He was beaten 2 lengths by Elite Power. There's no Elite Powers in this race. Not only that, but I think the race sets up well for him. I think there's a lot of speed, and I think he's going to pick up the pieces. Gaffleone is reunited with this horse. Gaffleone's won on him in the past, and I think he's going to be tough.
Look, I think there's a couple of things here. One, you have the variable of Tampa, which is a weird track and has been playing really speed favoring. I know there's a lot of speed in the race, but it plays a little bit more towards speed. It's his first start since the Breeders' Cup. It's a prep race. They very much would like to go to Dubai off of this race to run in the Golden Shaheen. There's 2 or 3 others in this race with the same kind of goal in mind. Obviously, Sibelius won this race last year on his way there. But Nakatomi is better going further. I don't think he's a true 6-furlong horse. I understand he ran 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, but somebody had to run 3rd. That was a bad Breeders' Cup Sprint. Elite Power was much the best. There wasn't much behind him. Gunite was 2nd best. And then somebody had to run 3rd. I don't think Nakatomi is the bill of goods that you want him to be. I know the numbers say he is. There's now another new owner now. It looks like he's now been sold again. The other part of the horse is now owned by Jim and Fraterri Hay, who run a lot in Dubai, which would make sense since they want to run in Dubai. But I'm not sold on the Nakatomi train, and at 9 to 5, I'm going to try and beat him.
Well, he is only 1 for 7 at the distance, like you said, Chad. So if you look,
I'm telling you, he's a 6.5, 7 furlong horse. 6 furlongs is not ideal. And Tampa, the way that the Tampa race track is run, it's not really prone to horses that have that deep kick like he wants to exhibit. It's horses that are closer. Now, I know what you're going to say, John, that there's a lot of speed in here, and there is. But even with that, sometimes it's a tough thing.
All right. Well, the other horses that have solid resumes as far as the sheets, let's talk about Super Ocho, the 4 at 5 to 1, coming in with 3 straight 8s, 4 8s on the year, actually 4 8s since 2023 in January, including a 9. This is the first race of the year for Super Ocho. What about Super Ocho, John?
He's fine. He's just like Syllabus, the 7, and he's like the 8, Carmel Chip. That's the second tier after Nakatomi, in my opinion. Those are the horses. But I think I'm looking at numbers. I look at figures, and off the figures, the 2 lays over the field. You see what I see, Greg. You're looking at it. Chad's looking.
I mean, look, I think Super Ocho is, when right, is the fastest horse in the race as far as the early fractions. Right. I don't know what I mean at the end, but he's the fastest horse in the race, which you have to respect. But his win last time out was impressive. He's just kind of been a little bit inconsistent lately, and I don't love inconsistency in a race like this because it's a deep, talented field.
Okay.
And I'm going to pass on Super Ocho.
The 5 Mish, as you mentioned, John, has 4 9s in the last 7 races, including a 9 last time out at Tampa, basically going almost wire to wire. And I mean, this is a horse that really over the last couple of years has got a bunch of single digits, not as low as the other 2 we mentioned, but still pretty consistent with those 9s, including Tampa last time out in December. A 10 to 1 too. That's the big difference there. You're getting 10 to 1.
And you're getting Safi Joseph, who happens to be 5 for 13 at the meet. So everything he sends there usually runs well.
He's only 5 for 13. It felt like he was 11 for 13.
Well, maybe he is 11 for 13. But according to my racing form, it says 5 for 13. I don't know. I'm sure I'll have 11 wins soon. Listen, the horse has a win over the track. You can't knock him, but you can't use them all. The good thing about Mish, I guess, is that he is 10 to 1.
Chad?
Look, I think he's the thing that we always kind of go through with him is the fact that he's a nice horse and he won well at this track, which I like, but it's the class factor. He seems to run well when he's the best horse in the race. And when he's not the best horse in the race, he's been outclassed. And I think the same form will continue on here. I think he might run a good race. He could suck up third, but I don't think he's the winner.
By the way, there's another short-priced horse in the field, the 7. Sibelius.
That was the horse Chad likes.
Yeah, Sibelius had a couple of 9s early last year, had a couple of 6s dating back to 2022. The last 3 races, 10, 12, and 10, and that was winning last time out in a grade 3 at Gulfstream Park. 1-for-1 at Tampa, too. That's also important, running a 9 in a 6-furlong race, and this is actually the same race.
It was this race.
Yeah,
he won this race last year on the way to going to Tampa. Look, he was really off form.
Chad, can I ask you a question? Why does he carry 124 syllabus? Why is he the highway? Just out of curiosity.
Probably because of the
Oh, is that one? Okay.
Because he's what?
He's a grade 1 winner.
It's not because he's a grade 1 winner. It's because he won a graded stake race since September 1st. So he's the only one in the field. That race was a grade 3 last time out. So he carries full weight.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, is that the horse you like, Chad?
No.
Oh,
look,
okay.
He was very much in form when he won this race last year. His last race looked like the old Sibelius. It looked like he was right. I've heard kind of mixed reports on how he's been training since that race. And so I'm going to let the eye test tell me that I'm going to try and beat him. Now, Junior Alvarado has a very good connection with him. They've had a lot of success together. But I'm going to try and beat Sibelius here. He needs to show me that he's the real deal, and I haven't. Maybe I'll eat my words, and maybe he's the old Sibelius. And I mean, if he repeats that last race, then he's good to go. But I think he's going to bounce off that last race.
Another a horse that looks like could be interesting at 12-1 is the 8-post Caramel Chip. Is off the back 8s and back-to-back wins.
They were both in the slop.
And they were, as you mentioned, in the slop. 1-for-1 at Tampa.
His last 3 wins were all in the slop, because if you go back 4 races, that was also a slop race. So obviously he loves water.
It's been a while since he's been at Tampa, but he is 1-for-1 at Tampa. Any of these other horses? So who do you like, Chad? We haven't named your horse yet.
Yeah, I'm going to go twofold here. One, I do think that Caramel Chip is the one that's kind of under the radar. 12-1 is very disrespectful for a guy in Jose D'Angelo that's winning every race he seems to run at Tampa, including yesterday as well. I think he gets the right setup. He's the right trip. I think he's probably better a little bit further distance, but he'll be closer than Nakatomi. He makes first run, where Nakatomi will be kind of further behind out the back door. Maybe Nakatomi's a better horse, and maybe Nakatomi wins the race. But I'll take 12-1 on Caramel Chip over 9-5 on Nakatomi. And the other horse I think is going to run a big improved effort is the 1 horse, Hurricane J. George Delgado, of course, won the grade 3 last week in New York with Matty Alver in the Toboggan Stakes. This horse is supposed to be better than that horse. Very, very good. He was very, very good 2 starts back. He was very, very bad last time out. So this could be a get-right race for Hurricane J at big, big odds of 12-1. So I'm going to bookend the 2 12-1 shots. I'll use Nakatomi a little bit underneath, maybe a little bit of Mish and Sibelius. But for me, I like the 12-1 odds I'm getting on both those horses, Hurricane J and Caramel Chip. I think they have just as good a shot as anybody else in the field in their longest field.
So you're going to go 1-8 exacta.
I'm going to play win bets on the 1 and 8.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to do.
So win bets on both. And, because the 1, John, the thing I noticed is that had that 11, which was a huge top, 9-point top. So it was predictable that the horse was going to bounce last time out. And the horse is only 4 years old. So maybe that 11 was signs that the horse was ready to now kind of, become a real competent, maybe winning horse, as Chad believes he could be.
Well, but that big race was with Lasix. He has no Lasix on Saturday. But it was also first on for George Delgado. So if you think Delgado's better than Paulo Lobo, and he could be, why not? I never knock price horses. If someone likes a price horse, I never talk them off them. So.
Dr. Oscar, by the way, also has a couple of 8s last year. What's CBY?
Canterbury
Park
Downs.
in Minnesota.
Canterbury Downs.
Wow. Okay.
Just a stone's throw away from the Mall of America.
All right. John, who are you going to go with?
2 over 4, 5, 8.
With 4, 5, and 8. And Chad's going with wins 1 and 8. And you might as well put an exacta in there, too.
He said he was using the 2 with them or something. I don't know. Whatever.
You're going to put which horses you're putting in with the 1 and 8, Chad?
The two Nakatomi, the 5 Mish, and the 7 Sibelius, just in case.
Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 with the 5 and the 8. The 2 over the 5 and the 8. All right, so let's now talk about the big run this weekend at Tampa Downs. This is the 3-year-old race. Even though it looks like some of these horses are a little bit slower, but it's early. Do you see any horses in this field, Chad, that you believe could be a Kentucky Derby contender?
Contender, yeah, but pretender. But
look, if we learned anything from last week, I mean, it's a wide open thing.
I don't think you're seeing the Derby winner from this race, like the Withers.
I've been doing some research now that the Triple Crown nominations are out. There's 364 horses nominated for the Triple Crown.
346 or 364?
One or the other. I don't know. I might be dyslexic.
And who has the most? Do you know who has the most? Just a quick trivia question. Who has the most?
I would imagine it's Brad Cox.
No, it's Chad. It's Todd Pletcher with 54.
Well, well, also because Rapoli nominated 6 horses that aren't even named.
I just asked a question.
No, but Rapoli, okay, we're in February. The Derby's in May. We're 3 months away. He nominated 6 horses that don't have a name. They don't even have a name. Let alone, okay, they haven't won yet. They don't even have a name. They don't exist.
Okay.
So how does that work?
I just asked the question. I was surprised. I also guessed Cox when they said.
No, that's fine. But I mean, Rapoli,
he's in his own world.
Is that a real thing?
He's in his own world.
I mean, is that like those are real horses?
Yeah.
No,
or
they're
he's
real
just
horses.
Not
They're not named. Rapoli has this thing, and it's very frustrating. He doesn't name his horses until the week before they're going to run. It's very annoying.
How do you clock that? How do people know who they are? Well,
by the mother's name, but that's why. So he thinks that they won't catch a ticket because then they're not. They don't know.
They all get bet anyway. What's the difference? Was he trying to hide it? They're all 8 to 5 or less.
So these are horses that haven't raced yet.
Look,
part of the 54. Part of the 54 that are nominated from Todd Pletcher are Rapoli horses that have not been named yet. Correct.
Look, of the 304, I haven't done all the math yet, but of the 346 horses nominated, I think about 100 of them, at least 100 of them, maybe more, haven't run yet.
Wow. Yeah, but nobody ever wins at this stage who haven't ran yet, right?
Don't say that.
Well, Mage debuted literally 2 weeks ago.
What about the Baffert horse? Baffert started it all.
In January?
Yeah, with Arrogant. Who is it? Arrogant or Justify? Oh, Justify, right. So he didn't run at 2.
Well, he also had contaminated feed.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Too soon. All right. Look, whether or not this is a Derby, yes. No, it is a Derby race because there's Derby points on the line, and these horses are changing. We saw that Fierceness, if he doesn't get his way, wants to go grab his ball and go home. This year is Verrazano. He's a brilliantly talented horse, but mentally,
that's why I picked him as most disappointment.
John did.
No, you got it. You got it. He might still win the Derby, but you got it.
Yeah.
So, look, I think we're going to go over 4 or 5 horses in this race that could use this as a stepping stone, okay? And there's unknowns in this race. So, for example, right, and I'll just run through a couple of these here quickly, okay? Crazy Mason and Patriot Spirit come out of a sprint race. Can they stretch? If they stretch, why can't they keep getting better, okay? No more time. The Iowa bred, everything went wrong last time he ran with Jose Ortiz. Now he seems like he's training well out of that race. He can certainly take a step forward. The second-place finisher, the Mucho Macho Man, came back and won the Kitten's Joy last week. A Gate Road, he's a turf horse. Can he take that turf form and put it on the dirt. If he does, then he's an instant contender as well, right? Change of Command was an impressive allowance winner. The horse he beat came back and impressively won an allowance race, beating one of Todd Pletcher's best horses in Born Noble over last weekend. So those are all horses where you sit there and you go, okay, you know, why can't those horses, if they win, they're very much in the thick of
they're going to exactly.
But the thing I was originally saying before John told me about the 70 horses that Todd Pletcher and Poli have nominated
54
is, of all the horses I started watching videos of all these Derby Triple Crown nominated horses. The horse that's caught my eye the most so far is a horse who's still a maiden, who ran once and ran second first time out. And I think that he very much can win the Kentucky Derby. So
you want to give us his name now instead of waiting till May 6th?
Sure. So his name is, hold on one second, because I'm actively trying to buy him right now.
Oh.
But his name is.
You got any money, John?
Not enough. Chad has expensive taste.
His name is, where is my text message?
He was so impressive he can't even remember.
He doesn't
his
have
name.
a name.
Listen, I've been up.
It's one of the Rapolis unnamed.
His name is Acclaimed Victor.
Acclaimed Victor.
Who trains him?
We have to write that
Omaha
down.
Beach
Acclaimed.
Omaha Beach. Todd Pletcher.
Oh, so you're not. He's not selling nothing, Pletcher. You got no
Pletcher
shot.
horse. Acclaimed Victor. All right, the favorite of the top two favorites. Well, you mentioned Change of Command. We could start there. The 9 horse. You got Gaffleone on board. This is probably the one horse that looks to me the most impressive because the sheet line is really solid. Hasn't done anything wrong as far as that's concerned. 14 last time out in the last race at Gulfstream Park. So what about Change of Command, John?
He's all right, but I love a horse in this race. I haven't loved a horse this much since Senor Buscador, who ran second.
Oh.
I love a horse in this race.
You haven't loved the horse this much since 2 weeks ago. Thank you, John.
Well, that's probably what, 500 races?
He ran well.
I thought he was going to say
it's only been 3 races on this show. It's only been 3 races on this show.
Since Bold Forbes. No, we go, since Senor Buscador 2 weeks ago.
So what about Change of Command, Chad?
Look, he's a nice horse. I like the way that Shug McGahee, who certainly he's won the Derby before with Orb, he's been on the trail before. I like that he's bringing him along the right way. Break his maiden, then go to an allowance race, take your time, now go to Tampa. But I also noticed that he's taking this horse to Tampa. He looked like he was scared of running against Fierceness, like many of these horses were. And the fact that he was scared of Fierceness makes me scared that he's maybe not as good as we think he is. And I'm going to try and beat him today.
Okay. The other top contender here is a Gate Road. This horse sounds familiar.
Why is he a top contender? He's running on the grass. Why do you think he's
7-2? What did we talk about this horse recently? A Gate Road?
Yeah, he was entered. He was entered last week in the Kitten's Joy on the grass.
There you
and
go.
Then when the horse who would have been the favorite for this race in Locked got a fever over the weekend, they needed a backup plan. And so they scratched the turf horse and run him here. They wanted to try on the dirt one time. We've been down this road before with horses like Major Dude last year for Todd. Turf horses are turf horses. I know he has a dirt race in there before. What was the sheet number when he ran on the dirt, John?
21, but it was the first start of his life. He had big trouble.
Right.
It was in line.
Look, they want to take a swing. It's a Rapoli horse. Rapoli wants to be represented in every race. I think the horse is bred to be a turf horse. It's done its best running on the turf. I tried to beat it on the turf last week on his preferred surface, so I'm certainly going to try and beat it on the dirt, which is not his preferred surface.
The other
at 7-2, he's a joke. He's really a joke at 7-2. I mean, if he could win, but
it's Todd Pletcher on the Derby trail.
Okay.
Next up on the morning line would be the 5-1 shot, Copper Tax, the 7 horse, who had 4 consecutive 11s before a 17 last time out in the Grade 2 Remsen, John.
Yeah, but the 17 was his first time around 2 turns, so maybe he's a sprinter. All those good races, those 11s, are all sprinting or around 1 turn.
Listen, let's not forget, Remsen Day was that speed favoring track.
Yeah, it was a conveyor belt. They door knocked.
Yeah. Look, he needs to show me something here. I don't understand most of the morning line on this one. He would be certainly included in that conversation.
All right. Let's now talk about Patriot Spirit, the 6-1 shot. That's the 3-horse coming off of 14 last time out at Tampa. That was a win, second win of the horse's career. First start at Tampa was the win in December. Started out with a 15 in his first race, broke his maiden right away, which was nice. But now it's kind of taken a few races to get back into that number, John, at 14 at 6-1.
Yeah, I mean, he's no better than 4 or 5 other horses in the race, and the price isn't right. You know, I don't particularly like him.
The one thing I'll say, I was at Tampa last Saturday. This jock, Sammy Camacho, who's I think the leading rider or one of the leading riders at Monmouth, he has the horses in the right spot in every race. He's riding some kind of good. You know, we talk about being in the zone sometimes. He is very much riding in the zone right now. And so if you like the horse, feel confident that you're going to get a good ride from Sammy Camacho because he's riding really good. But look, this horse's best weapon is his speed. I think there's other speed in this race, mainly the horse we just talked about in Copper Tax, who's going to be fresh, having not run since December. I think they're just going to war it up too fast. And, you know, when you watch the replay of the inaugural stakes from last time, Crazy Mason was flying late. And of the two, I think I prefer Crazy Mason over Patriot Spirit, to be honest with you. I mean, he was kind of a buzz horse first time out and ran second. He got beat. But he's gone on to run well. And I think he should be able to stretch out. Being by Cole Front, who's a relatively new stallion, but did win the Godolphin Mile a few years ago and was a nice top Fletcher horse. Out of a mare by Maria's Mon. I pinhooked the sister. I just realized that. But I think Crazy Mason's a horse that can surprise, and I prefer Crazy Mason over Patriot Spirit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Crazy Mason, the 4-horse at 10-1, and the other 10-1 shot is the 5-horse, No More Time. That's the Jose D'Angelo horse. Started with a 21, not so good. Then all of a sudden, an 11.
It was his first start. Who else in the race has an 11 in this race as a 2-year-old? Nobody. Nobody. Go watch this horse's replay of his last race. Watch what happens to him at the start. This horse cannot lose this race.
Oh, this is it. The cannot lose.
Hey, John, you know the funny thing is the start wasn't even the worst part of the race.
I know, but that started the whole mess. Watch the start.
But the middle move going 8 wide in the 5-horse field, it was not one of Jose Ortiz's better rides, that's for sure.
I love this horse on Saturday.
Yeah, after that 11, which was a huge win, obviously, you got the predictable bounce to a 14.
That's not a bounce when you have that much time off. They put the horse away. He didn't bounce in his last race. It was his first start back off of a layoff. He had a miserable trip. But again, no other horse in this race ran an 11 as a 2-year-old. You run an 11 as a 2-year-old, you're eligible to run a 7 or 8 early as a 3-year-old. I love this.
You know what's amazing about this game, by the way? What's
Everyone has an
about
opinion. What?
So No More Time is owned by More Play Racing, okay? The relatively new owners in the game here, okay? They have a horse with Bob Baffert that they spent, I think, $900,000 or $1.2 million. That still amazing. Okay, that they had high hopes on. This horse is an Iowa bred they bought for $40,000. He's taking them on the road to the Triple Crown.
Okay, so you answered it yourself, Chad. You're in this game longer than any of us, and you know, and you've been around horses, and you bought and sold and buy and everything else. You see it all the time. This isn't the first time you've seen this.
No, absolutely. That's
the great part of the game, Chad. That's the great part of the game. Even a guy, I know they're not a little guy because they own these $1 million horses, but it gives a guy that just wants to put 40 or 50 into the game that they have a shot. That's good. That's not bad. That's good.
The 10 is an 8-1 shot. West Saratoga looks a little slow. Even though won that Grade 3 race at Churchill with a 15.
What was the thing from Al Michaels when USA beat the Soviet Union in hockey? Do you believe in miracles? Okay, well, you can only use that phrase once, right? And he had his miracle moment when he won his stake race at Churchill. I think reality has sunk in on this horse. I don't think he is. He was second. He was second in the prep. Okay, in the Pasco Stakes, but he was beaten 12.5 lengths. I don't think.
Chad, I want to ask your opinion on a horse here because I really like the 12 because I like the 2 sprints into the route, but it's a very tough post to win from. But he's going to be a big price, and he really ran well those first 2 races for Mott. I'm just saying. I wish he wasn't drawn out so far outside with the 16s. He's got a shot to make a nice forward move.
Look, I'll tell you what. The field he was in last time out, it was funny because he was in a New York bred allowance race, and the next day was the $500,000 New York bred race. But all of these horses weren't eligible. They were from Kentucky Stallions. Oh. And this race was 1,000 times tougher than that race. To be honest with you, Mischief Joke, Detective Tom, and I was in this race. Slam and Gold as well, the son of Bar of Gold for John Kimmel. This was a loaded race. I actually ran the horse Running Lucky in the race, and just seeing these horses in the paddock was really, really impressive. And look, I don't think you're crazy at all. Obviously, the horse liked the Aqueduct, but that doesn't mean it can't kind of translate its form. And obviously, you don't want to miss training when you're trying to get ready for the Derby. Obviously, switching to Junior Alvarado, that's Bill Mott's guy. They've had a ton of success together in the last few years.
I mean, for Mott to think enough to send this horse to this race, Mott's not going to send this horse to this race unless he's really high on it. I don't think. I don't know. That's the horse that piqued my interest a little. After the 5, I'm giving the race to the 5, but like an underneath horse at a big price, I thought the 12 was a little interesting.
Yeah, the only thing the 12 doesn't have is experience. You got the 17 and the 14.
Right. But he hasn't done anything wrong, and he's stretching out, and I think he wants to go.
I think the other thing, too, the other interesting thing here, too, is talking about the favorite change of command. One thing that needs to be noted, he's won 2 races in a row, and they add blinkers today. You don't see that a lot when
I was going to ask you that, too. I had
a little bit of a winning streak when you're making the change. Now, look, you're playing on borrowed time now because, like we said, we're only 3 months away from the Derby. So, if he feels like the blinkers are going to move him forward, maybe he's toyed with this for a little while. It's tough. You're either the hero or the GOAT when you make an equipment change after, winning a couple races in a row.
All right. So one other horse to really talk about, I guess, would be the 2 Tireless. The Pletcher horse coming off a win, breaking his maiden finally in the 4th race. 2 on turf, then 2 on dirt, only 17s.
So why are we talking about him? No, I don't like him. I mean, I don't know. And that his last race was
good news. Good news.
He scratched what?
Rapoli Stable also owns a piece of this one. So just in case those other 6 unnamed horses don't have a chance to make it to the starting gate, he's going to give 2 swings at it right here. This is a well-named horse because Rapoli is tireless in trying to win the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, well.
All right, so let's get to pick time. John, I think we know who you like.
I love the 5 over the 7, 9, and 12.
Okay. Chad.
I'm going to go on a little bit of a limb here. I'm going to take a swing on Greg Sacco and the 4-horse Crazy Mason, son of Colefront. We saw some interesting stallions winning last week with Social Inclusion and Awesome Slew. Let's add to the list here to really upset the Kentucky Blue Bloods with a son of Colefront winning the Tampa Bay, the Sam F. Davis Stakes. So I'll go with the 4 Crazy Mason on top of the 5 No More Time. 9 Change of Command, and the 12.
Oh, we made it this far, and he broke up. We lost him at this point. Go ahead, Chad.
So that was 4. Yeah, 4 over.
4 over the 5.
Sign language, Chad.
5. 4.
Over the 5.
Yes.
He dropped again.
I can hear you perfectly. Don't worry. I can hear you. Now
Go ahead, Greg. Repeat what he said.
Now I can't. You said 4 over 5, 9, and that's it.
And who'd you like, Greg? He'll be back. In the meantime,
I'm going 9 over 5, 7, 12. So I'm going to stick with the 9.
You scrambled mine.
Here's John's.
I had 5 with 7, 9, 12. You have 9 with 5, 7, 12.
Oh, here's Chad's pick, I guess. He's coming in on the text. Here it is. 4 over 5, 9, 12.
There you go.
So we're all pretty much...
The common denominator here is 5, 9, and 12.
Yeah.
For the most part.
That's right. So there you go. And,
all right, guys. What are we doing next week?
Yeah, next week. Let's see. What is?
I'll figure it out.
By the way, are you gonna be? You're still gonna be there next week, right, Chad? Is he gone?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And when is his race, John?
March 5th. The first few days of March. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Wow, he's going to be there for another few weeks. All right, so next Saturday is the 17th, and next
All right, Greg.
Saturday.
I will see you.
All right, take care,
Thank
John.
you. Chad, thank you.
So
Have a safe trip, Chad. Good luck there. I'll talk to you.
all right,
Greg, thank you.
you got it. Thank you, Mr. Acavano. And next week, let's see. We've got 3 grade stakes races at Fairgrounds, including the Grade 2 Rachel Alexandra. That's a 3-year-old filly race. So that should be the biggest one out of the other 2 are Grade 3s, the Mine Shaft and the Fairground Stakes. So Fairgrounds looks like a potential landing spot. Also, there's a Grade 3 Royal Delta Stakes at Gulfstream Park next week. There's, let's see, a couple of races a couple of Grade 3s at Laurel. Not that we've ever done that track. The Dixie Bells at Oaklawn. That's a 3-year-old filly race. The Baffle Stakes is a Santa Anita 3-year-old race on turf. Tampa's got a couple of stakes races, but not graded. So it looks like Fairgrounds. And there are a couple of stakes races at Aqueduct, including a 3-year-old filly race. So there's a few 3-year-old filly races out there to be had on the 17th. But it does look like at this point in time, the Fairgrounds has the leg up on racing for this show next week. And we want to remind everybody, too, that that we are going to be here all the way through, as we always are, on a weekly basis to the Triple Crown. And if you have yet to subscribe to our Patreon page, make sure you do that. Tell you the truth, not sure if we're going to post this one on Facebook. Maybe we won't. That's the reason why, in case we do post it, that you want to be subscribed on our Patreon page, because you watch everything that we post every week, all season long. And our season is January to December. So there you go. And even when our top analysts travel to Dubai, we still do a show. So there you go. That'll do it. Again, the descriptions, you got the links. Check that out regarding, because if you haven't, even if you're a Patreon member and you have yet to subscribe on Discord, you can do that too. Matter of fact, if you subscribe on Discord, you have a much better chance of having a direct interaction with John or Chad. So just keep that in mind. And we're out of here. So if you have a race that you would like for us to handicap next week and any week, let us know, and we'll see what we can do for you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.